Before the boardrooms and before the brands, before the businesses and before the breakthroughs, there was a dream, a whisper from God, a vision placed inside of you. And through the struggle and through the sacrifices and through the faith and the fire, you refused to stay small. This, this is for the ones who rose anyway, for the ones who turned closed doors into open highways, for the ones who never were given a seat at the table, so they built their own. This is for the entrepreneurs who see beyond the now, for the creatives who transform the unseen into reality, for the leaders and the innovators, the risk takers that won't wait for permission to go higher. Here, we celebrate aspiration. Here, we honor the grind. Here, we elevate the vision. Because the road to success was never meant to be easy, but neither were we. We are the sons and daughters of resilience, the descendants of royalty, the builders of legacy, the ones that will outlive our name. This is not just a podcast. This is Level Up. I'm your host, Earl McCray, and in every episode, we bring you real game from real voices, from those who have paved the way to those who are building the way, and to those who will take it further than even imagined. Because it is not about just getting to the top. It's about bringing others with you. It's about breaking chains. It's about shattering limits. It's about walking in divine purpose and power. So, if you're ready to step into something greater, if you're ready to go beyond potential and into impact, if you're ready to stop waiting and start moving, then welcome home. This is where faith meets action. This is where dreams meet discipline. This is where we level up. All right, Level Up family. This is episode 75. And let me just take this screen share off so I can speak directly to my people. Hold on, let me turn this camera on. Didn't know my camera was turned off.
Oh,
All right. Let me turn on the camera. Let's go. I'm ready.
all right.
So let me speak directly to my audience and say, look, I am delighted, I am blessed, and I am honored because today we are going to bring the fragrance, the faith, and the financial freedom straight to the mic. I need you to understand, family, this queen right here is living, breathing definition of resilience, renovation, and radical self-care. She's not just selling sense, she's spreading healing. She's not just a business owner, she's a movement in motion. She's not just walking in her calling, she's running full speed towards purpose and generational change. She's a single mom of three, a child of God, my sister in Christ lover, a gospel singer, a natural born teacher, and a proud entrepreneur who's using her synthesis. I hope I said that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Business, not just to pay the bills, but to build legacy. She's out here to inspire the community with holistic healing, scripture, empowerment, and action. And because her mission is about healing hearts, lightening up lives, and blessing others through every step she takes, she's a proud girl trek warrior, showing that Black women how to take lives, their health, and their power back, one step, one prayer, and one walk at a time. She's got a bachelor's degree in childhood education. She's chasing her master's in community engagement. She's bringing a future that smells like success and purpose every single day. So, Level Up family, let's give some love, let's give some support, and make some give some energy to my sister in Christ, Rakia Greene-Mason. Yes, sis. Thank you for being part of Level Up. How you feeling?
I am good. My heart's racing.
Now, have you ever done a podcast before?
I have not. This is my first time.
First of many. And we're going to give you love and we're going to make you feel comfortable. I see you got the home team on the line as well.
I do. You know, I got a little background going. You know, I have to do what
it.
I got to do.
I love it. Well, if as a way of kind of getting the ball going, now that
my audience knows a little bit about you, from the standpoint of my relation. Could you help? They love a great origin story. Could you kind of share with them, not just where you are now, but what happened to get you to this point?
Hmm. All right. So this could be a long story, but I'm going to keep it rather short.
Wherever the spirit takes us, wherever the spirit takes us.
um. Okay. So I just moved back home from North Carolina um, about 4 years ago. I relocated in 2014 after going through a pretty hard divorce. And so I had to, at the time, I thought it was, necessary for me to make moves and do something different. And so prior to moving, I had decided, I wanted to have a new life for my children and to I ended up going to another relationship where things kind of like I thought were okay, but then weren't. Eventually, over years, things just didn't pan out. But God was allowing me to go through certain things in order for me to see where I needed to be in the place that I am now. So, I originally my intent was to be in the classroom teaching after I got my degree. But my spirit before graduating went in different direction. I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and teach, but it won't be in the classroom. It'll be small setting, more
Oh, follow
like
the spirit. I wish
yeah.
I had. You listen to your head or you listen to your spirit. You listen
hmm
to your spirit. I love it.
I did. And because I knew myself and I knew that I wasn't really in the place where I wanted to be, with certain concepts or the certain level of confidence I wanted to have as a teacher, I said I needed more time. So let me go ahead and do preschool teaching, different levels at daycare centers. And that's what I did. And at the same time, I was also building my family and my first marriage, having my first set of children and so forth. So I gained that experience, but I learned a lot of life lessons along the way. And I didn't have the mindset of having, my own business yet. It wasn't even in my thoughts. I said eventually I will go back to teaching, but right now I'm building my life. And so what ended up happening was, as my children were coming up, in their toddlerhood, I'm teaching them at home because the foundational work that I grew up with, my parents taught us at home while, and supplementing while making sure that we were going to school, learning about our African history, knowing who we are in God. And that's what I wanted to establish for my children. And trials and tribulations while I was doing that and going into my second marriage, another child, and so forth. Certain traumas and certain things happened with me and my children that transformed my thinking, gave me a new set of eyes,
Yes, ma'am.
and changed my heart in a way for me to know what healing is going to be for me and what it's going to be for my children. So thankfully, with people who had a certain set of wisdom to show me like everything that I went through had a absolute purpose, and it may not be understood at the moment, but
Hmm.
that's exactly what I'm actually living in, the purpose of which God needed me to understand so that I could feel more fulfilled now. So coming into this new phase of healing for me and my children, being a single mom, I never thought I would be, being divorced, I never thought I would be. But what it did was God intended for me to learn who I was and more of who I needed to be, even currently, right now, as I activate new things in my life, such as my Scentsy business, such as being a single mother and knowing that my responsibilities are my own until it's meant for me to be with who God designs for me to be with. And so right now, God is in the Lord Jesus and my family and my church family, my community. who are helping me along are my companions, are my people I can hang on to, are my people I can go to and ask for my assistance, ask for the things that I need, get the encouragement, get the set of tools that I need, my Sensi community, Sensi brothers and sisters who are in the business, being able to lift me up and giving me the tools that I need to, to move forward and progress in my business. So this is pretty transformative.
I love it. I love it.
Hmm.
There was so many pieces that I kind of just zoned out in because, you know, um, what I love most about some of the things that you shared was the resiliency,
Hmm.
because a lot of times, and maybe you'll circle back to this, a lot of times people in the community that I host, they have a misconception that success is a straight line from point A to point B. And
Mm.
success is nothing like that. Success is a bunch of squiggly marks, circles,
Yeah.
ovals on a sheet of paper, because sometimes you really have to experience what you don't prefer to be able to be laser focused on what you do prefer.
Hmm.
And those experiences that we have, I like to believe, as long as we're either getting wins or we're
Hmm.
getting lessons. We never
Hmm.
lose, never,
Never. That's right.
never. And so, I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that.
Yes.
Um, I think what I'm curious, if you could just pour into my group, is that there's obviously there's different levels in our journey as an entrepreneur. Um, I don't like to think of it as a grind because I don't believe in that. I believe in building, but I don't believe in grinding. But
Hmm.
there is a such thing as a grind season, and
Hmm.
every level there's a different season that you're in. Could you tell my audience a little bit about one of your grind seasons where you thought you were tapped out. You had no much more energy, no more money, no more desire, but somehow God made a way out of no way.
Mm. Well, there was a time when, this is before entrepreneurship, honestly, because the beginning of my entrepreneurship has been gradual grind, ups and downs, and these ebbs and flows. But prior to, God had to sit me down. He had to take a few things and people out of my life, and a breakthrough took place. And that's when I realized, when it's time to grow, there's a certain level of things that I was holding on to that I needed to release. And I was forced to release those things in order for me to get back what God intended for me to be better steward of. Um, so my family dynamic, being a mother, um, being someone who was active in the community, things that I wanted to do, I had some of those things had to be taken away in order for me to understand how to better take care of myself, to do right by it and
Mm-hmm.
them. And so when I came into entrepreneurship, that's when I was already equipped. I was beginning to be equipped enough to be okay with the ups and downs that's going to come with the business.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't necessarily have, um, a season in my business in the last 4 years. I actually celebrated 4 years on the 30th of June being a
Blessings, blessings.
consultant. Yes,
Yes,
praise God.
praise God.
So I reflect and I think, there are many moments where I thought, well, maybe I should just give up, or, people are really not going to respond, or I'm not hitting the audience I need to hit, or I'm not really honing in on those skills that I know are going to get the needle moving.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lesson that I just recently learned, by one of our elders at our congregation on North Side, where he's doing some spiritual coaching with me and another sister who is growing in the faith. And one of the things I realized in our growth in our material that we're reading is that I actually never saw myself in a place of recovery. And
Mhm.
I realized that I actually am. So when I kind of like did a scan of the last 4 years of being a consultant, and going through this new phase of my motherhood and my singlehood in the Lord, and this new life and building myself back up,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
said I have to give myself the grace of knowing that I'm not going to always be okay in my business. I'm not always going to be okay with certain life matters.
Mhm.
Um, so to honestly say, I really have not yet had a moment where I was so plummeted that I thought that I would just let go of this business. This is not going to be for me. No.
Mhm.
Mm-mm. Where I know for sure that this is where I belong.
I love what you said. I'm gonna circle back to it because I want my audience to kind of marinate in that this spirit. Sometimes in order to elevate, you got to let people go.
Hmm.
You got to release people.
Hmm.
And I got to tell you, I'm gonna take off my entrepreneur hat for a second and put
Okay.
my teacher hat on. The
Yeah.
number one challenge that I see young people have, especially in classrooms and many of the inner city schools, is they are afraid. They're afraid that if they elevate, they're going to leave friends, family members, people that they love behind.
Mm.
And they're definitely afraid.
Mm.
And so instead of elevation, they get into compliance.
Hmm.
Take my teacher hat off, put my entrepreneur hat on. Loved ones, beloved,
Yeah.
egos don't fly in a pack. If you're going to do this entrepreneur journey, if you're going to run this race, get very comfortable with being uncomfortable. I was never comfortable kind of being a solo thing. But
Mm.
eagles fly by themselves. And they're at a whole nother altitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you speak to maybe, some of the
Mm.
relationships, maybe friends, family, even church folks that have actually given you life, given you um that energy? Because when you get that, it's such an empowering thing. Um, Not to say that it happens often, but when it does happen,
Hmm.
it's like lightning in a bottle.
Absolutely. Um, so one of the sisters in our congregation, she encourages me, and she put fire under me, and she said, hungry mouths don't get fed. If you don't
I love
ask
it.
for what you need, you will not get it.
Yes, I love that.
And at the time, it was during the fall, winter, the beginning of September, October. Everybody's going you back to school, and we're all new fragrances and everything. And I got the whole table set up and everything, and folks that I had reached out to come and see and touch and smell all the things. I only got maybe one or two people to come through. And then she said, well, you got some events coming up in the fall. You got some more things coming up. I said, yeah, but these vendor events are, and the tables are just so expensive. And so she said, you know what? If you would just ask, I wouldn't mind doing a couple more hours and I'll help you get that table.
Come
Just
on.
simple
Come on.
things like that help
Yes.
me to remember that I am thought of and cared for and I'm supported. And
Yeah.
when you're in your head, you don't think that just because the people that you reached out to that you thought would be present were not knowing that they might have had other things to do or they didn't get the message in time enough or what have you. But to me, that was one encouraging moment. And I said, wow, if there's anything, outside of business, whatever it is in life, if you ask, then something just might happen. If you don't, then the answer is always going to be no.
I love that. And you're actually you're working on my spirit because one of the things that in my mentorship group, I tell all my folks who are new into this journey of entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
because all they know is the W-2. Um, I let
Okay.
I let them know that this is a different thing. This is a different animal. Brother Purdy
Right.
is online. He'll be able to attest to this.
What up?
When you're in the W-2 world, you work, you get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Work, you get paid. You don't work,
Yes.
you don't get paid. We get that.
Yeah.
But in this world of being self-employed, being an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
you work, 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 work,
Yes.
work a little bit, and then you get and you got to be very you got to get comfortable with that. And so
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that you said just a moment ago that I teach them is let the people who love you, trust you, and actually like you help you.
Amen.
How do you do that? I said, turn your phone on, record a 30-second conversation, just be real. Hey, I'm excited. I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
involved with something that I've been passionate about. And if you know of anyone that you know needs A, B, or C, I
Mm-hmm.
got you. I'm your plug.
Yeah.
Send that out to people
Listen.
on your phone. They're already in your phone.
That is true.
Let them help you
Absolutely.
because the truth is, most of us, if we can assist, we do assist. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm of the opinion, especially because this podcast is centered for Black and Brown entrepreneurs. I'm of the
Mm-hmm.
opinion that if we can, what's the word, the African word for collective economics? What is that word?
Oh, collective work.
What is it, brother?
Udma'a.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If we are giving the time and the space to support each other
Yes.
and keep those dollars, that energy flowing in our community for just a
That's
little bit
right.
longer. All right. I don't want to go
Mm-hmm.
historian, but before segregation, before
Mm-hmm.
we're told that we have to be a part of another system, we did
Correct.
that. The Black engineer worked with the Black Mason. The Black Mason was working with the Black carpenter. That black
Correct.
and we just did an amazing job of keeping that energy, because all money is
Yes.
energy flowing in our community. Um,
Absolutely.
but I'm glad you asked for help, and, and and
Mm-hmm.
and that's the message that I really want my community to know. Um, I,
Absolutely.
all right, we're gonna do a hard right turn. Here's what I'm wondering right now.
All right.
um, what lessons My question is, what lessons did you learn the hard way in business that you wish more people understood?
Hmm. Actually, what I learned the hard way was financial budgeting
Say more.
because I really hadn't had a good foundation in managing my finances. And when I started my business, it forced me to pay more attention.
Mhm.
Because in order to actually share my products, I had to invest in the products.
Mhm.
And even in the trips to the yearly family reunion for the company and small events and things like that. So when those events and things came around for the last number of years, I realized how much money I had actually spent on going and in needing assistance with family to just, help me with gas or food or what have you. The expenses that required me to be able to be present and active there, I ended up paying for it when it came to my bills. I ended up paying for it when it came to my necessities.
Mhm.
So I think that was the hard part for me. Not being as comfortable as I would be right now if I had properly did the proper saving and
Mhm.
doing what I needed to do to ask for that financial guidance first and
Mhm.
then going forward.
Mhm.
So that was, I guess for me, that was my hard.
Yeah.
And what I would encourage is that as much financial education as you can get early on before beginning a business and knowing the ins and outs of those things is
Mhm.
very vital.
Wow, wow. Brother Purdy,
Mm,
I normally don't do this, but we are speaking to a new audience. And with your for those that don't know, Brother Purdy is another brother I love dearly in the church. He's been on the Level Up podcast before. He has a background in financial advising. He's a certified public accountant. Um, could you weigh in, brother Purdy, to speak to what was just said about that financial literacy, and if you being a new entrepreneur, some things that you can do to kind of put yourself in the best possible situation.
Um, I know Sister Rakia. She and I are friends, and we've talked a little bit, so I'm somewhat familiar with her background and her story. I think one of the challenges is for us is not having access to separate capital. So when I create my budget for my business includes all of the finances for my household as well. So it's not like I have a separate pot of money to budget for, and that makes things very challenging. So what is helpful is creating two different sets of books with
mm,
separate sources of income, if that's possible. Uh,
Mhm.
that's important. And then determining, well, what is my break even? Now, just real quick, because I don't want to steal Rakia's thunder. In other words, how many sales do I need to get in order for what I'm doing to pay for itself?
mhm,
Right? Many of us, like she, have passion for what we're doing. And sometimes, unfortunately, we have a tendency to follow the passion.
Mhm.
And then the money doesn't always follow. Right. So,
Guilty
mm.
as charged. Know about that.
sir,
I said I'm guilty as charged. I know a little bit about that.
hey man, that's what we do.
Yeah,
We love what we do and we try to do what we love, but there's a cost associated with it. And
yeah.
I agree with Rakia. She has been, from what she just said, she has been very blessed to have family, right? So her immediate circle has contributed a lot, but it's hard to figure that out. Yep, it's hard to figure
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
the short answer to your question, I'm sorry, I drifted a little bit. The shorter answer to the question is creating a separate budget that has
Mhm.
finances that are separated and being
Mhm.
determined how much business do I need to do in order for it to pay for itself
Mhm.
at a minimum.
Love it. I love it. I appreciate
Mhm.
that. I appreciate it. Rakia, circling back to the other part of what you said a moment ago, is is the the way you structured your business, does that give you that next opportunity to maybe go out and leverage your personal credit to get at business credit? So how did you structure your business? So proprietorship, LLC. Tell us to my audience a little bit more.
Okay, so I have a I have a goal to move toward LLC.
Hmm.
Okay. But right now, I'm still at groundwork level of building my team, building a cohesive collection of people who want to do what I do,
Hmm.
um, and it literally be a team effort. But
Hmm.
in the root of that building is building the relationships, and that is what takes time. Building the
Hmm.
clientele has a lot to do with building the relationships. And I, tried the cold calling and the messaging and all these things.
Hmm.
But in reality, people, really want the authentic you. And that's difficult when you're not always mobile.
Hmm.
Things are a lot based on social media and,
Hmm.
network marketing, direct sales. Has to be handled in a very strategic way that actually works for your life. So that's what I'm kind of navigating right now.
Yeah.
And for me, because of the kind of person that I am, I'm a boots on the ground, get out there and meet you kind of person. But if
Correct.
that is limited because I have to be on the grind of making sure my bills are paid with other types of income, then that
Mhm.
limits me from doing what I know is necessary for the groundwork of building clientele and building those relationships. So, LLC is my goal, but I need to make sure that God is aligning me with the right people so that that actual groundwork is successful and it's is authentic and fluid. So it's going to take time.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
And I think one of the messages I always share in my subgroup is start where you are with what you can
Absolutely.
quickly as you can, and then optimize as you go. Um, the one thing I wish I knew and on the front side is that um and I'm just kind of circling back to that balancing act of
Yeah.
bootstrapping, that's what we call it. We use our
Yeah.
personal funds to build our business versus being able to have an uncle or have a auntie that could
Hmm.
um but the one thing that I now know I did know is that the quicker you can get your LLC established and seasoned, they normally want a 2 to 3 year of seasoning, is what they call it.
Mm.
And then, provided that you can leverage that 700 credit score, personal credit score, then there's monies. There's monies on the business side
Mm.
for banks to bet on you.
Wow.
Because literally banks, and this is not the podcast, banks are in business to loan you money.
Hmm.
But as people of color, that's very daunting because that's not our relationships with typically with the banking community. They take our
Yes.
money, give us a very limited amount of
Amount.
return on our savings, but when we need to borrow money, it's at an interest rate that doesn't really
It's not manageable.
right. But
Hmm.
but a lot of it is because we haven't been taught to create the right structure in our
Correct.
business so that we can get money lending. And an interesting thing I didn't know, I was at a conference. Um, a fun fact is that anytime you generate a business name and
Hmm.
have a generic way of throwing a Latin name into your business name, it's for whatever reason, there's an algorithm that banking communities they are more likely to find you favorable, especially if everything else lines up. Who would have
Hmm.
known a Latin name, really?
Hmm.
But
Okay.
that's why we get around smart people, so we can
Rub those elbows and see what hits.
absolutely.
Hmm.
So this conversation is taking me into another rabbit hole. I tend to do
Okay.
lessons. Um, uh, I don't watch as much TV as I used to. I tend to kind of want to be around smarter people than me. So between
Good.
books and podcasts and things where I can glean, that's why I hang out with Brother Purdy. Right.
That's it.
Um, um, what
Same.
what books what books and podcasts would you recommend to my community that helps give you that next level in terms of reaching and growing and evolving?
Okay, so I'm at, like I said before, I'm gonna just go back to my healing stage because that's exactly I'm still in the healing stage, and even in my business, it's the small steps that are helping me to see where I would like to go. So the podcast that I actually am listening to is therapy for Black girls,
Okay.
and that's helping me. And I also it does have an entrepreneur aspect to it, so that I get the tools that I need emotionally and mentally, but I also get the business tools.
Mhm.
Um, and it is it is run by a mental health therapist, a Black female mental health therapist, and the weekly podcast give you just tidbits on what it is how to to take care of yourself while you're navigating your business, to make sure not to forget those intricate things that need to be in place so that you can give your full self to yourself, to your family, and to your business. So that if I'm speaking to those who are, Black women, and you need that type of therapy that's specific, that therapy for Black girls is what I'm actually listening to at the moment. A book I'm reading right now, which is a part of my Christian spiritual journey, and you know, uh, my self care and journaling is the coaching I've been receiving with one of our elders at our church, Brother Charles Brown. He gave us a book called Failing Forward by John C. Maxwell.
Yep.
Okay.
Love the book.
So this thing right here
Yes. Yes.
is really handling business. I'm in chapter
True.
2 and I'm taking chapter
True.
2 really slow. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it really will change your mindset on how you see your past versus your present and where your future is going to go. Um, I never would have changed my mind. It's something about conditioning in the society on what we think is failure or success.
Correct.
And what I have learned most of my adult years thus far is that everything is cyclical. You know, we know that there is things, the consequences, whether negative or positive, will come back around as it relates to the things that we say and do and the things that we engage in. And
Absolutely.
so for this book is one source for me that's been a strength for me to really reframe my thinking on what success is.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love it. I love it.
yeah.
All right. So we're going to go into our speed round. I'm going to
Sure.
ask a bunch of back-to-back questions really, really quick. First
Okay.
thing that comes to your mind. Okay. All right. If you could have dinner with somebody that's no longer with us, icon from our past, that based on what they did, their life, their action, the way they inspire, who would you have dinner with?
Oh, Chadwick Boseman.
And tell me why.
He, in his own way, was um, a humanitarian.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. From what I understand, and I didn't go into all the tabloids or anything like that, but the life that he lived, knowing what his illness was going to bring him in the time frame, he trusted God. He trusted his skill set. He trusted his heart, and he trusted people and the family of actors and actresses that gave him the inspiration that he needed in order to push forward.
Love it.
And definitely,
Love it. How would you have answered that question if I told you that they had to be alive?
mm, if they had to be alive,
Yep.
mm, I still would want to have dinner with him.
Okay. All
Definitely.
right. Cool. Cool. All right. Next question. If
Mhm.
if you could time travel and go back in time and have a 5 minute conversation with yourself, what's one thing you would make sure that the younger you understood?
I would tell my younger self to be patient.
Hmm.
Time is on your side if you leave the distractions alone. And then I
Okay.
would lay all those distractions out and find the simplest way forward to be more fulfilled. Yes, be patient.
Got it. Got it. All right. Next question. If you had to go to a new city, where you didn't know anyone, you didn't have a cell phone, you didn't have, but you had your knowledge, what's inside here. What would be the first 3 moves you would make to start over again?
I would connect with I would connect with I would connect with someone to establish some land somewhere to actually, establish my living, my sense of living.
Mm-hmm.
Find somewhere where I can actually be an educator, be there to be able to extend my skills and my knowledge and my services, put my hands to do.
Got it.
And then thirdly, um, I would establish, a sense of faith, um, connect with my faith community so that spiritual life can maintain.
Ditto.
Hmm.
Ditto. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So the plane is circling the airport. We're almost ready to land.
Okay.
All right. Two more questions before we land. All right. First, this is the second to last question. The name of our podcast is Level Up. And so we're always kind of challenging the audience members to get moving. A lot of them are stuck. So my question is, if someone is listening right now, and they're inspired to move, do something, but they don't know where to start, what would you recommend that first step be? Something they can do immediately today that could potentially change the life.
Start where they are the absolute happiest.
Mm,
If you have something that you do and that you just, even if it's a hobby that makes you happy, brings you joy,
mhm.
and anything outside of that barely distracts you because you're so focused and so hone in on it. Start there. See how
Mm,
you can serve others with that very thing that has you locked in.
I love that. That is so good.
Yeah.
That is so good. What brings you joy? What can you hyper focus on? And then block out all the other white noise
Yep.
and just focus on that. Great. So, in the last and the minutes that remain, share with my audience how you help people, what your services look like, feel like, taste like, and how they can reach out to you if they're vibing with what you provide.
All right. So I am a fragrance specialist with a company called Scentsy. Okay. And Scentsy has been in business for 20 years. And like I said before, I've been a consultant for 4 years. And I'm a type of person that likes fragrance and decor. And if you, what I do is I pretty much share. And the reason why I'm called a Scentsy consultant and we're given that title is because we consult people with the products that we have to be able to fit your lifestyle. So we have cleaning products, warmers and wax break off blocks of wax that go inside of the warmer dishes, many of decor, different type of decorative warmers, um, household, like I said, household cleaning, laundry, on the go products for your car, for your gym bags, for your purses, for your, sacks, things like that. And also have we have a charitable cause products that actually go to organizations that you vote on for funds to go back to the community. And a business opportunity for anyone who wants to be an affiliate, to attach it to their current career or their business, or to be able to earn income with selling and sharing the products of Scentsy. So we have beautiful fragrance scientists at home office that develop our fragrances across the world. And it really is very innovative, and there are new things that have already come into place since July 1st. And so with every consultant is different. It is very much a family. And it gives you a creative space to build on your interests. So let's say you have a commercial business and you need fragrance as people are walking into your establishment that actually will welcome them. We have
Wow.
products for that. Okay. I also do fundraisers. Every consultant has the option of doing fundraisers where they can fundraise for organizations, for churches, for Girl Scouts. They can, for school groups. Cheerleading, or what have you, have opportunity for fundraising in that way. And for doing community events, as I was saying, for, like for example, the Rochester area usually has the Sankofa Festival or the Pan-African Festival, our Kwanzaa celebrations. I've had an opportunity to vend and do tables where I can set up some products and just introduce little things to people so that they can see where it fits in their lives. And there's an opportunity for a monthly or a weekly commission, depending on how you share and how you network and how you engage and vibe with your community and your family. So that is what I offer in my business. And my goal is to grow to the point where I can continue sharing and expand with others who want to do the same, and pretty much build my empire that way.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
And it sounds like I got to talk to you offline to get that affiliate link so I can refer you to my network of
Mhm.
short-term rental hosts, because
Oh
you
my
have me right
gosh.
there. When they walk through that front door, and
Yes,
we want that experience.
absolutely. The
We want to create
realtors.
that vibe. And so,
Yes,
yeah, I definitely got to get that link. But
absolutely.
listen, I appreciate.
Brother,
Go ahead, brother.
Oh,
brother, if you don't mind, I'd like to give a shameful plug. Client of Rakia and her Scentsy business for the last 2 years. And, I have my space over at Serenity, my home, and I do something similar. I actually contracted with her to help me establish the scent for my property. So she came over, assessed the space that was there,
Okay.
size of the space, how the air flowed through the space, what was the main uses of the venue, what was the vibe I wanted, and then gave me some recommendations. And now I have a predetermined scent that I have in that space, and it's worked out very well. Whenever
My
mhm.
goodness. Oh, wow. Okay.
it has worked out swimming. So I just want to say, if there's someone out there looking, yourself or anyone else, I highly recommend Rakia for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Yes.
Listen, this was unplanned, unscripted. So I got to get on your calendar for you to come out to our places.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let me go ahead and plug in. My website address is blessedroyal8.scentsy.us. Okay. And if you happen to just roll across Scentsy.com, it will give you the option of choosing a consultant. And you would just put in my name, Rakia Green. Mason is not attached there, but on my actual website is Rakia K. Green, and I'll pop up as a lead consultant, and you'll be able to view everything on my website. Everything absolutely is right there on the website.
I love
And this is the catalog. This is the current catalog that is ending at the end of this month. So all spring, summer can be grabbed right out of here and on my website. And then we're going to be transitioning into the fall, winter on August 1st.
I love it. And I'll make sure I get with you offline, okay, so I can have all of those contacts in the
Hmm.
program notes that'll be on all my social media that are
Hmm.
streaming this live. I appreciate
Perfect.
that. Yep.
Absolutely.
All
Yes.
right. Well, look, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Our point of
Love you too.
doing these is to try to inspire, to try to keep those embers that may not have caught in fire.
Hmm.
We're trying to blow. We're trying to blow on those embers, catch fire, figure out what you're passionate about, and as my sister said, block out all that white noise.
Hmm.
All right. So that's a wrap,
Yes.
everybody. We love you. Be blessed, but more importantly, be a blessing. Take care,
Amen.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you
Bye
so
bye.
much for having me. Thank
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
everyone.